All right, let's talk about something that's kind of weird, right? We've never been more connected. We've got phones in our pockets, friends all over the globe, and yet so many of us feel incredibly alone. It's this huge paradox. So today, we're going to dig into why that is.
And this quote, man, it just hits you, right? Someone on Reddit posted this. It's that exact feeling, like you're just a ghost watching everyone else live, stuck behind some kind of invisible screen, whether you're scrolling through a feed or standing in a crowded room.
So that really is the central question here. We've got all these incredible tools for connection, right? We can talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. So why do so many of us feel so disconnected? What's actually happening here that's pushing us apart, even as the tech seems to bring us closer? All right, let's really get into it.
Okay, so to really unpack this paradox, we've got to look at the generation that's grown up right in the middle of it, Gen Z. I mean, they're the true digital natives. They've never known a world without the internet. And yet, their experience is telling us a really different and kind of troubling story.
And when we talk about this, we're not talking about a small group of people. Check this out, 80%. That is a massive number. It means 8 out of every 10 people in Gen Z have felt lonely just in the last year. This isn't some niche problem, you guys. This is a full-blown emotional crisis happening right now.
And that's where the real irony kicks in, and it's kind of heartbreaking. Gen Z is literally the first generation to grow up completely online. Social media has always been there for them. But instead of building these super strong connections, all that constant connectivity has mostly just led to superficial stuff. Likes, quick comments, an emoji here and there. It creates this illusion of community, but underneath, the real stuff, it's kind of getting worn away.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we need to get specific. Loneliness isn't just one big, vague feeling. Turns out it actually comes in a few different flavors. Let's break down the 3 main types, because naming them helps a lot. Okay, first up, you've got emotional loneliness. This is that deep, gnawing feeling you get when you don't have that one person, a partner, a best friend, that you can be totally 100% yourself with, the person you tell everything to. You could be at a party, surrounded by people, and still feel this kind of loneliness. Because it's not about how many people are around you. It's about the depth of that one connection.
Then there's social loneliness. This one's a little different. It's about missing a wider group, a community, your tribe. It's that feeling of being an outsider, always looking in on other people's friend groups, and just not having that place where you feel like you fit in and can just relax and be yourself.
And last, there's the deepest one of all, existential loneliness. Whoa. This is that really profound feeling that, at the end of the day, you're just alone in the universe with your own thoughts. It's that feeling of being totally lost, wondering what your purpose is, and feeling like nobody could ever really understand what it's like to be you.
Okay, so now that we have the words for these feelings, let's look outside ourselves. What's going on in the world we've built that's making us all feel this way? What are the big forces at play here?
Well, for starters, you can't talk about this without mentioning the pandemic. I mean, it was like a massive global experiment in isolation. It basically threw gasoline on a fire that was already burning. Think about it. For a whole generation of young people, all that crucial social stuff, making friends, going to school, celebrating milestones, it all got forced online. It totally stunted our ability to learn real-world social skills, and we got way, way too dependent on screens. And yet we are absolutely still feeling the effects of that.
And it wasn't just our social lives. The pandemic completely upended how we work, right? And it created this new problem that researchers have a name for, belonging friction. It's that weird low-level stress you feel when you're working in a hybrid setup. You're constantly trying to feel like part of the team, trying to stay visible, when some people are in the office and you're on a screen.
So this belonging friction has 3 parts. First, there's spatial friction. That's just plain old distance. When you're remote, you miss out on all those little moments, the quick chat by the coffee machine, the inside joke in the hallway. You just become less visible. Then you've got temporal friction. This happens when everyone's working on different schedules, maybe in different time zones. Everything feels out of sync. And finally, there's relational friction. This is a big one. It's just harder to build real relationships through a screen. You lose all the little social cues, the body language, and that can lead to misunderstandings and just weaker connections. And all 3 of these, they add up and make it incredibly difficult to feel like you actually belong.
And this isn't just about work either. This sense of disconnection is creeping into our neighborhoods. Think about our third places. The places that aren't home and aren't work. Coffee shops, local pubs, libraries. These places are disappearing. And yeah, some of it's for money reasons, but it's also a bigger shift. As we spend more and more of our lives online, we've kind of forgotten how important these physical spots are, the places where you just bump into people and have a real conversation. And without them, there's this big, empty space where community used to be.
So we've talked about the outside world, the pandemic, work, the loss of community spots, but what about the inside world? What happens in our own heads when we have to deal with this constant feeling of being disconnected? What's our brain's coping mechanism?
Well, a lot of the time, our brain does something pretty drastic to protect itself. It's called emotional numbness. It's not something you choose to do. It's an automatic defense against stress or pain that just becomes too much. To keep you going, your mind just kind of turns down the dial on your feelings, all of them. And what you're left with is this feeling of being empty or just disconnected from everything.
So what does that actually feel like? Well, you might feel like you're just going through the motions, like you're on autopilot and not really in your own body. Or maybe big news happens, good or bad, and you just feel nothing. A muted reaction. You find it hard to feel happy or to feel love or even to feel sad. It's just this constant nagging feeling of being empty and alone, and it can even make it hard to focus. It's like you're just there, existing but not really living.
And the researcher Brené Brown put it perfectly. She said, we cannot selectively numb emotion. If we numb the dark, we numb the light. And that's the terrible trade-off, isn't it? Your brain can't just block the bad stuff. When you turn off the pain and the fear, you're also turning off the joy, the excitement, and the ability to connect. You lose the whole spectrum.
Okay, I know this all sounds really heavy, and it is, but here's the cool part. People are starting to fight back. There's this really fascinating counter-movement bubbling up, with people actively looking for ways to break free and find real connection again.
And get this, the pushback is coming from the most surprising place. It's from members of Gen Z, the most online generation ever. Some of them are becoming what you might call modern Luddites. They're intentionally stepping away from the technology that's been a part of their entire lives.
So what does that actually mean? Well, they're literally trading in their smartphones with all the apps, the notifications, the endless scrolling for old-school basic flip phones. They're choosing to ditch the perfectly polished, filtered world of social media for the messy, unpredictable, and real world of face-to-face relationships.
And the change for them has been huge. Just listen to this quote from Lola, a high schooler who made the switch. She said, "When I got my flip phone, things instantly changed. I started using my brain. It made me observe myself as a person." Wow. I mean, by just getting rid of that constant distraction, she was able to hear her own thoughts again, to actually be present in her own life.
And it's really important to understand this isn't about being anti-technology. It's not about smashing your phone. It's about being intentional. It's about making a conscious choice to put the real, human stuff first, to prioritize the kind of authentic, in-person connection that we all, deep down, really need.
And really, that leaves all of us with a big question to think about. Because this isn't just about Gen Z, right? This is a challenge for every single one of us living in this crazy, hyper-connected age. We all have to make choices about how we live. So I'll leave you with this. What connections are you willing to let go of to truly reconnect with what matters?